Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today back on Todd Bits. We're excited you're here with us. We're excited to be hanging out with you, whether you're at the gym, hiding from your boss at work, in the car, whatever it is. We're just so excited that you're here and we get to share another amazing message with you. Really thrilled with my guest today. We have crossed paths and I've peeled back the onion a little bit and started looking at this brand. And I got to tell you, it's an amazing conversation that lies ahead of us. I'm just really, really stoked that she's here. Please, everybody, give it up for the founder, CEO of BeeFree, Jennifer Wiese. Welcome and thank you for being here today.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Todd, for having me.
Oh, it's absolutely a pleasure. I'm all fired up about chatting about being a warrior today. We're going to be warriors today. That's what I understand.
That's it.
You know, you guys are doing something that is so super cool that it was just so easy for me to lean into this conversation and want to elevate it because this is exactly what my brand is all about is uplifting people and the ideas and the brands that are doing some amazing things. And, BeeFree, for those that don't know, and you're going to find out in our time we spend together, it's a snack brand. And you guys are out doing something that is really quite cool because it's plant-based snacks. It's granola products. It's absolutely delicious. In the studio, by the way, right here, I'm hanging on to my berry bombs right here in the studio. The rest of it's getting confiscated by others in the house, but the berry bombs are staying here. But, it's what you guys have done. And the reason that you've done it all stems from autism. And we're going to get into autism a little bit today and talk about that and elevate that conversation and, and talk about what you guys are doing and being liberated from junk food. So I am stoked that you're here. I can't wait for this conversation. So again, welcome. And let's get rocking and rolling because I only have, and you're going to be lucky for this. I want you to know, normally I have, a couple, 300,000 questions. I'm at 297 for you. So I'm under 300,000 for questions.
Whoa.
So
Awesome.
Yeah, I know.
I love it.
I know. But let's talk a little bit and, again, and welcoming you here and talking about this brand and what you guys are doing. So share with us a little bit about your journey, if you wouldn't mind, Jennifer, just kind of like up to BeeFree. And then we're going to take it from there because I'm going to rock and roll this bad boy.
Oh, nice. I'm looking forward to it. So I am the mother of 4 sons. My husband and I have 4 sons.
Four boys.
I know,
Ladies
right?
and gentlemen, give up the golf clap for this thing.
Yeah, it definitely, it's a journey and it is such a privilege to be a mom of boys and 4 to boot. And my husband and I got married a little later in life. So we knew we wanted to have a big family. So we got busy and we had 4 babies in 5 years. So
wow.
It's a big, busy, full house, lots of action going on. I mean, they're grown now. 3 are finishing or in various stages of their college journey right now. And our oldest is graduated and entering the workforce. So they're ages 21 through 26 right now. So,
wow.
But, in the early days, raising a young family of boys was, prior to our son being diagnosed with autism, there were some early indicators that something was a little off. And, when our number 3 son was kind of surpassing some developmental milestones ahead of his older brother, just there were just a lot of other clues too that there was something going on. So,
right.
He was born in 1995. So back in that era, they didn't have all the really great things they have now that are early detectors, which are so amazing. Those weren't in place, when our son was born. So he got his official diagnosis when he was 7 years old. So we had a lot of work to do. And, those days were, they were full and busy and overwhelming. And, to say the least, and especially when you get a diagnosis that your child has autism and you don't know anything about that. And the information that you're given is not positive. There were just, it was stressful. It was super stressful. But my husband and I have that mentality that, we're given what we're given for a reason and we're going to figure it out. We're going to make the best life possible. And so that's what we did. We ignored the negative information that was coming our way. And we really focused on the positive things and what was out there that we could control. What kind of safety nets, what kind of opportunities could we put in front of our son, and what kind of guardrails could we put around him and build him up so that he could live the life of his dreams. And so that's, that's how we roll. That's just how we're made, and that's how we roll. And so that's kind of the life that that we have tried to lead by example for him and for all of our children. So
I love it.
yeah. So just, a lot of challenges. But one of the things, because we were so hungry for information, and in our community, there wasn't a whole lot of really great positive information out there. So we went to Vancouver, British Columbia, to an autism conference back in 2008. And we learned about gluten-free. And that was one of the things that we felt like there were tons of other things going on out there. Hyperbaric chambers, infrared saunas, all kinds of metal detoxification programs and protocols that you could subscribe to, and 30 different supplements that you could take, and all kinds of stuff. None of those seemed really realistic to us or doable, but food, specifically a gluten-free, clean label food, real food, seemed something we could get our hands around, and that was worth our time and energy. So yeah, so we took that information and that empowerment that we got from that conference and stopped at Whole Foods on the way home. And back then it was a small little 4-foot section, right? But we were so pleased that there was something to choose from. So we bought everything, we took it home, and we started tasting it. And we were so discouraged and really just so disheartened, because most of what we were eating was in a package, and it might have said a cookie, but it tasted like cardboard. It was terrible. And not only that, but it was filled with all kinds of chemicals, stabilizers, and artificial junk, as we like to say, that that wasn't going to cut it for us. Plus it was super expensive. And so we did feel that it was worth a little bit more a look into. So we thought, okay, we could just make our own gluten-free food, right? How hard could it be?
No, absolutely.
Right? So I enlisted my mom, and who is the real queen bee, right?
Yeah.
And we got busy, and we started converting favorite family recipes. And it literally, you're going to laugh at this, Todd, but it literally took years to get the recipes just right. And before, really nobody could tell that it was gluten-free or dairy-free. They just thought whatever I was serving tasted really good.
Really good.
Our dog got really fat in the meantime, because, what wasn't agreeable to, humans, the dog was eating. So that was a little bit of an issue, but we just gave her a little more exercise and she was fine.
I love it. I love it. Well, there's so many things that you touched on right there. And the first one I'm going to touch on is, get the hell out of a mom's way when she's on a mission. Right. Because been there, done that. I've been that in my own life with my son and his health problems. You get out of the parent, the parents are, as much as the medical community is out there to try to help, you've got to be your own advocate. You've got to pick up the ball and you've got to run with it. You cannot depend on other people to hold your hand. They'll help guide you down the path, but you've got to take that empowerment, is what you've done. So let's go back a little bit. We've got this frame of we're going to talk about autism. We're going to talk about what you've done and what you've created. And another thing you talked about is gluten-free, right? Which is what you guys are all about, which is really interesting. And I'm going to talk about some of that as well. But you made a really great point. Early on, gluten-free was out there, but it didn't taste worth a damn. I mean, it's just, it's hard to get into that. It's a real challenge. And really, until what you guys have created, because it is an amazing product. So let's talk a little bit about what is BeeFree exactly. Let's talk about the brand real quick.
Thanks for joining the Todd-versation. And now, a word from our sponsor. This episode of Todd-versations is brought to you by Viva Tierra. Viva Tierra, organic to the core. Connect with us at vivatierra.com.
So BeeFree, it's a play on words. Be free to eat delicious gluten-free foods. Be free of junk in your life. Now, whether that's food, negative thoughts, negative people, negative surroundings, all of that, let's just get rid of the junk and let's focus on how you can liberate yourself, right? And make good food choices and how that can apply to the rest of your life. Building yourself up with positive people, positive sources of information, and really just kind of looking at life as, okay, here's what I've got, right? And here's how I'm going to attack it. Here's how I'm going to make the best out of everything that I have.
I love that. I absolutely love it. So again, mom and dad, they're fired up. They've got an issue with their son. They've got to figure this out. The world's coming at them at 100 miles an hour. You got to take that step back and pause. I've walked that path. I've done that, like I said, with my own son, that step back when you're trying to listen to the medical community and like, oh crap, I've got to figure this out myself. So you started BeeFree. You started leaning into the fact that, hey, this is a positive thing. We've got to make this change. What's out there isn't any good. So here we go, right? I know how to cook. You could, right? And you guys, and Queen Bee, you and your mom are rocking it. There's no doubt. I've seen photos of you guys slaving away in the kitchen, making this thing happen. So let's talk a little bit, about autism if we can, because, we hear it in the news, and I don't necessarily know that everybody is completely dialed into understanding what the spectrum of autism is, how many people it affects. And so I want to kind of get into that a little bit and kind of frame that up, because I think it's important we bring people alongside this opportunity that you're creating for getting this message out. So if you wouldn't mind, just kind of give us a layman's, definition of autism, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, here's a really easy way to look at autism. Autism, it's a neurological disorder that affects verbal and nonverbal communication, as well as social interactions. So that's pretty just a very general, definition of what it is, and what it affects and how it affects. And so beyond that, the spectrum is very, very large. It's very, very, very deep. So, there's the very high functioning that have, just little nuances that things that, and as they've gotten older, they've been able to navigate their environment so that it's pretty limited as far as how you can detect it. And then there's the whole other, gamut of it that are nonverbal, that just don't have any language.
Right.
So the spectrum is very long and very wide.
Yeah, it is. And one of the things that I think that's interesting about your journey is that I think you've had a real lesson in how food has helped. Right. I mean, it's not curing his autism. Let's be clear. I mean, it'd be wonderful if you had that snack mix. I don't think you'd be on this broadcast at this point, right? You'd be a little bit higher on the food chain. It'd be amazing if that was the case, but it's not. Right. But how has gluten-free eating helped your son with his autism?
I'm so glad you pointed that out, because I'm always very quick to say, look, this is not a cure. This is not looked at as a cure. This is just a way to enhance and optimize your body's functions. That's how I look at it. And so, some of the specific ways that it's impacted him is with his attention, with his awareness to his surroundings, and with his sleep. So those three things specifically, gluten-free is very impactful.
I love it. Yeah. And so what did it teach you though? I mean, at that moment, you talk about a teachable moment. And I think this is such, because I say it all the time, food is medicine, right? It can hurt us and can help us, all of it. Right. So what did it teach you about the power of food to help heal us though?
Well, when we saw with our own eyes, like if August had been on gluten-free for a while, and then he got his hands on something that was gluten, right? Like maybe a handful of goldfish crackers or regular pizza or something. And then we could pretty much immediately see the reaction that it was having on his body and on his, his just being. It was kind of like, we used to say, it's just like our son just drank a 6-pack. I mean, it was like, he just drank a 6-pack. I mean, and he's like 8 years old. What the heck is going on here? Right. So it definitely, when we could see that difference, and that like almost instantaneous, oh my gosh, that's what gluten is doing in his body. Right. And it's very noticeable. So those were some of just the distinctive memories that we have of, wow, there really is something to this. And at that point, I didn't have a medical physician that bought into the gluten-free, just didn't believe it, just said there's no medical evidence that gluten-free has any impact on a child with autism in any way, shape, or form. And I was like, okay, that's fine. But when I would see that, I don't need a medical doctor to tell me what I saw with my own eyes.
Don't mess with moms. Don't mess with
Yeah.
moms.
That's right. Yeah. And sleep habits too, were really, really a big deal for him. So, and even now to this day, and he clearly is able to make those choices for himself. And he knows
Sure.
that if he's going to have something that's gluten filled, he's probably not going to sleep very well. His tension is probably going to be a little off. He might be a little agitated. So, he can make those choices now. But, when he was younger and I was making all those food choices for him, it just, and that's part of why we landed on food as the medicine for him for autism and just kind of for his general well-being, because it was one thing that as he grew, he could have control over.
Right.
As
Absolutely.
he got older, he could make those conscious choices of how he's going to eat. So teaching him from a young age how to make those good, gluten-free, clean, real food choices was impactful. And I really do feel strongly that it's laid the groundwork for him to now, as a young adult, to make good, healthy food choices that will impact his body in a positive way.
When he was younger, I mean, did the whole family switch over to gluten-free?
Yes.
So how was it? Because that's always an interesting question. And because it's, you've got one child or one person that's doing one thing, but then, how do you can't serve 5 dinners? That's chaos,
No,
right?
Exactly.
So how was it? Was it hard for everybody to kind of lean into this? How was it received? Because they were all relatively young, all 4 of them were relatively young.
Yes.
I mean, how was that? Because that's, I see that all the time with people, and it's like, I think that's one of the biggest challenges is to herd all the cats into the right, getting them all in the same direction.
No, absolutely. Herding cats too. That's so funny. My husband says that all the time, herding cats. Yeah. So it was difficult, but one of the things that was so important to me is that, because my child was feeling already out of order, out of place, uncomfortable in a lot of different environments, the last thing I wanted to do was to make him feel different at our dinner table. And so it was really important for me to have everyone eat the same food. And, having family dinners was kind of what we've always done growing up. So it's a big part of our life. And so it was important to me that I was able to create food that everyone could eat and everyone thought was delicious. So that's why in the early days when my mom and I were in the kitchen, recreating all this, spending all this time and energy and money on ingredients, we weren't going to give up until we had nailed it. And that, we had things that everyone wanted to eat. And in fact, one of the things we did was we would kind of test some of our recipes when the house was full, when the boys had friends over. And I would just ever so gently push something out onto the kitchen table and not say a thing about it. I would have a variety of things and I would just see what disappeared. And we called that teenager tested. So that, because the teenagers, they're brutally honest, right? So I would then kind of just fade into the background and listen to what the things were being said about the food or what was left over, and what wasn't touched, I knew was not good. So we spent a lot of teenager testing years in the early days, just kind of getting everything just right.
Well, that's the way to do it. If it's good, if the kids are going to eat it, you got to win it, right? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I just love that. I think it's fantastic. And you do. I've tried them all. Like I said, these are sitting here in the studio. They're not making it past the studio door. They're staying in my realm. But it's a delicious product. It's good for you. It's sound. It's logical. It makes sense. And the bottom line issue that we touched on earlier is that, gluten-free food that is good for you can taste good. And that's what this is. It can taste good. And so this is exactly what you all have. Let me just talk a little bit. I don't want to leave this off the table. And I think it's important that we come back to it a little bit. How many people in the United States have autism? Do you know? I didn't Google the fact. I was hoping you had that for me.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So it's pretty massive. So it's expected that 1 in 43 Americans have are gluten-free. Yeah. So no, I'm sorry.
Have autism.
Have autism. 1 in 43 Americans are diagnosed with autism. So it's a pretty massive number.
Well, we just need to get them gluten-free and see the results. Sorry, I'll throw that in there. But another thing that shocked me, in doing my research and looking at this and kind of getting behind what you guys are about, this is going to blow people out of the water. What is the unemployment rate in this country for people with autism?
It's 80%. I'll say
Can
that
you
again.
imagine?
80% of people with autism are unemployed.
That is just staggering.
Either under, or unemployed. So those kind of things together, 80%.
Together, sure.
And
Which
so,
is,
underemployed, meaning, they want to work more, but the opportunities aren't available for them to work more. So maybe they work 3 hours a week, 1 day a week, or, they want to be having more of an
More.
employment. They want a
Absolutely.
bigger paycheck. They want a place to go, a place to belong, and a reason to put their feet on the floor every day. So
Absolutely. Just like every person on this planet, right? We all
Absolutely.
want to feel good. We all want to be made to feel good. And we need to be, it's a part of what we need to be doing. And a bigger call to action is that we've got to start embracing the positivity that's out there and start picking people up. It's the only way we're going to make a better place. At this point, it really is. Because the rest of the stuff is just this craziness isn't working.
No.
If craziness isn't working, why don't we try something else?
Right. And if every employer, think about how many businesses there are on every corner. If every employer just employed one person with autism, we would have a much less problem.
Yeah. Well, and I think it stands to reason that this kind of an opportunity for somebody with autism is only going to be a positive to reinforce, to drive them to uplift their lives and to drive them forward into more confidence in their life and to grasp. I mean, You've got people that are working with you now. Let's talk about that a little bit, if you don't mind. Tell me a little bit about the people you employ with autism. And my question is this, obviously it's an X amount of number, but my real question is how has that changed you as being now a deeper part of the autistic community to where, look, you're a line leader, you're kicking indoors, you're a mom on a mission, right? There, I just said it 3 times. Don't mess with a mom on a mission. Right. But how has it changed you personally, helping folks like this?
When it's so heartwarming just to know that what we're doing is making a difference in somebody's life. When one of our employees comes and with the biggest smile on their face every day they come to work, and all they have to say is, "I'm so happy to be here. I love my job with BeeFree. I can't wait to come back again and do more work. And I'm so, so thankful for this job." And, some of them do only work 3 hours a week because they have other jobs and some of them are still in school. So there's a whole variety, but there are 3 hours that they get to work for BeeFree is the highlight of their week. Yeah. And so I think that for me, so many times we take so many things for granted, but giving someone the opportunity to work for 3 hours a week, we think that's kind of minimal, right? Well, when it's the highlight of somebody's life, it's a big deal. It's a really big deal. So to answer your question, I didn't really answer your question, but how has it impacted me? It's made me look at the smaller things in life with a different lens, really to just be a lot more appreciative and then really just be more, I want to do more. I constantly want to do more. I want to create more jobs. I want other companies to look at BeeFree and how we're doing and what we're doing things and to replicate it, because if not me, who, you know? And so I want to be that motivator, that inspiration that, look, it can be done, right? And I want to encourage other businesses to do something simple, something similar, and just to be bold. And so I think that the biggest way that it's impacted me is it's just made me a lot bolder. It's made me a lot bolder. I think I just, things that I might have maybe been a little gun shy before, I maybe would have drugged my feet on some things. I'm like, no, now is the time to go, because these people, they need somebody to speak up for them. They need someone to give them an opportunity. And so the time is now. There's no reason to wait any longer. So.
Absolutely. That's beautifully said. I thank you. And again, it's a mom on a mission. And I just think that, there's a level and passion that comes from that is, there's not a door that you can't put your foot through. I'm quite sure of that. I think it's great. Tell me a little bit though, on that same thought process. Tell me a little bit though about some of the stories maybe you've heard back from your customers at this point. People that have shared with you, because your journey is very public, right? This is why I did this. I did this for my son. And now we built a business that's, thriving and we're getting into it. We're going to get deeper into the business model and this and that in just a second. But I just feel this is to me, I think it kind of ties in that, how have you been changed? Because if it's changed you, you've got to be changing other people out there. So can you share a little bit about some of the feedback you've received from folks?
Well, one of the moms of one of our employees is just so appreciative that her son has a place to go that is empowering and that is a supportive community. And that, she says that her son is just so happy to work and have a reason and a place to go. And, one of the things that as a parent of a child with a disability, we all want to know what's going to happen to my child when I'm gone.
Yeah.
Now it's the biggest thought and the biggest fear in the back of our mind every single day. What if something happens to me? Who will look out for my child and what will they do? Right? What will they do? Will they have a place to go, a meaningful, place of work, a way to earn a wage? And that's, one of the things that we do by providing jobs for young adults with autism is that we not only provide that solution, for that employee, but we provide a peace of mind for their family, so their family knows that they're in a loving environment and that somebody is looking out for them and loving them just like their own child. So, and our very first, I will add this, our very, very first family employee who is on the spectrum now owns his own bakery. And so that was a dream of his from a young age. And so he kind of got his feet wet with us and learned some job skills. And then he went on to make his dream come true. And that was to be a bakery owner. And so those are the kind of stories that we want to continue supporting and facilitating. That, look, if BeeFree isn't your dream job, that's okay. Come work with us. Let us help you build some skills and then go on your way to find your dream job. But if you've never had a job before and you need some training and some experience, come work with us. Let us give you that gift and that, door opener, and then go on your way. Fly.
Yeah. I love it. That's just, again, don't mess with a mom. I love it. I absolutely love it. It is a family business, right? Let's talk about this a little bit. I want to chat about this. You guys been going, now 12 years, whatever it is. You guys been rocking and rolling. You got Queen Bee, your mom's in the kitchen. I've seen some photos of mom in the kitchen, working those muscles.
She knows it.
And I think that's really great when it becomes a part, when a family business is truly like that, when everybody has to buy in, it's very empowering to be a part of that with your family, because it's a level of closeness. You can't get that going to the amusement park, right? You can't get that going to a movie. You can't get that going out to dinner. There's something about that all-in feeling that's pretty powerful. So I want to talk a little bit about how important that was to you. You talked about the taste testers a little bit, but before we get into it, I want to get a little bit as well as talk about the flavors that you've got going on out there. What it took to get to where you are today, because you had a fat dog, you threw stuff away, you tested on the kids. It took a process. So share a little bit about the flavors you have, and Augie's Original is out there, which, by the way, with Greek yogurt, absolutely is fantastic. Yeah. I firsthand experience with that. But just talk about where the recipes came from and why, and the family, and just how much that meant to you guys.
Thanks for joining the Todd-versation. And now, a word from our sponsor. This episode of Todd-versations is brought to you by Viva Tierra. Viva Tierra, organic to the core. Connect with us at vivatierra.com.
Sure. So, first, having my family supporting me with what I never intended when I started this little bakery business. I was baking from a little rented kitchen in our town of Noblesville, and in the wee hours of the night. And in the early days, I never imagined that I would be in retailers all over the country, and I would have thousands of stores that sold my product. And that was not the intention from the beginning. The beginning was just, let's create food for my family. And oh, by the way, gosh, lots of other people are looking and need the same kind of food too. So let's do some farmers markets. Let's share it and let's see what people think. And then it grew from there. But really touching on the family aspect of it, if it weren't for my family supporting me, encouraging me, helping me pack up the car on Saturday morning, to head down to the farmer's market, and, doing special events and doing in-store demos. I cannot tell you how many times when our boys were going to a sporting event, one of them played in a travel lacrosse league, and it took us to different states and different parts of the country. So we would, optimize that time, and we would, go to the tournament, but then also we'd go to the local Whole Foods and we'd do a demo and, things like that. So I would have never been able to have that if my family wasn't supportive and they weren't right along there with me. They were right there at the table, offering samples and giving it to their friends and those kind of things too. So family was really super important. I think you had another question and I might have missed
No, I
it.
want to talk a little bit about the flavor profiles and where they came from. Because in all fairness, and I think, you just didn't sit there and throw something up and start throwing darts at a board. These really were some family recipes. These were things that kind of evolved from what was already in your kitchen and things your mom had. And can you touch on that a little bit? Because I think it's really cool.
Absolutely. So one of the, things that we wanted to do was, because it's a family business, we wanted to see what we could do to incorporate our family into our business, and specifically into the products we were creating and into the packaging. So what we did was we created Auggie's original Warrior Mix was the first. And we felt like that made most sense to give him the original flavor because he's who BeeFree was created for. And so we created that flavor first. And then we used that as a base for the other flavors. Mm-hmm. And then we gave each of the other flavors that kind of had their own personalities that matched all the other sons' names. So we have Auggie's original, we have Hagen's berry. So Hagen is our, he's number 2 in birth order, and he's a redhead. So, and he loves berries. So we're like, okay, that makes sense that would be his flavor. And then for Clay, he's number 3 in line, and he loves chocolate and the color green. And so we paired those together and called it Clay's Chocolate Buzz. And then one flavor you don't see on your lineup there right now is Drake's Spicy Chocolate. So Drake is our 4th youngest son. And as many youngest of a brood of boys, they got to be a little spicy. They got to be a little, you got to be a little rowdy to get what you want, or to get heard, right? So we created Drake's Spicy Chocolate, which actually is on it's semi-retired right now. But it's dark chocolate with a little bit of cayenne. If you like that kind of thing, it's definitely, it's a seasonal item that I'll send you once we're getting ready to make it again, but you'll love it. And then we have Maize Apple Pie. So May was my grandmother, and my grandmother was an amazing pie maker, and she took an apple pie wherever she went. So we named the apple pie after her, Maize Apple Pie. And then what we also have is Bob's Salted Caramel. So this is a new one. Did I send you this? If you don't have that, I will. Okay. So that's Bob's Salted Caramel. And that's after my husband's dad, Grandpa Bob. So he was a salted caramel fan. So just looking for ways to, bring in more of our personality, more of our family into our brand and everything that we do.
I absolutely love it. I mean, I just, it's such a feel-good, great story. I mean, the food itself, again, I've already said it's great. I mean, I love it. It's here. I'm eating. There's no two ways about it. But I mean, the whole story, the family, the why, how we got there, the leap of faith, the recognition, the mom on a mission type of thing. I mean, it is really, truly, in a lot of ways, the American dream, and such a great, uplifting story. You guys are doing so much, but you guys continue to do more. I mean, you're not just, you're not sitting still with just, yes, you're tackling autism and you're creating a narrative to get this information out and you're providing jobs in this app, but you're doing a lot more as well. So share with me a little bit more, if you wouldn't mind, about, how you're giving back through the success of BeeFree.
Yeah. So we have created a nonprofit called BeeFree Bakes, and it is it's our facility that specifically is there for creating jobs for people with autism. So I think that's the biggest way that we can really impact our community, and the biggest way that we can give back. And the only way that works is if BeeFree is successful. And the more Warrior Mix we sell across the country, the more that we can support with additional jobs through BeeFree Bakes. So truly, every purchase of a bag of Warrior Mix truly helps change a life, and it really is impactful. So we like to, kind of just break it down to being that simple, that buy a bag, give somebody a job, and the more we're able to sell, the more impact we're able to make on our autism community. And then, the real big goal, Todd, is that we can then replicate those bakeries into other parts of the country.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
Well, that's what's going to lead to the next question. It's like, is being able to scale this and get it going bigger. And you're all over the place. I mean, you're not just, you are across the country now.
Right.
You're in some big retailers. Absolutely agree. We've got to, let's go, folks. Let's scale this business for them, because it's making such a tremendous difference. Tell me, one of the areas that I know that matters to you, and that you're really a part of, is the Women's Business Enterprise National Council.
Yes.
Can you share with what that is, and then tell me a little bit why that's so important to you?
Absolutely. So, being surrounded and empowered by other women it's pretty special. And yeah, it really is. And so it was important for me, to have that impact and have that empowerment. And I want to be part of organizations that are uplifting and supportive. And that's exactly what WBENC is. It's shining a light on women, giving women opportunities, and really just kind of helping to lay the groundwork for amazing things to happen. And, just the amount of women-owned businesses is far less than male-owned businesses. And so just having that supportive, nationally recognized organization is a big deal. And it's not only a big deal to those who belong to it, but it's a big deal to, Fortune 50 and Fortune 100 companies too, Kroger and Target, and, the list goes on, of companies that recognize that as being an important organization.
Absolutely. No, I love it. And thank you for sharing that. I think it's a great organization. I'm glad that we were able to highlight it a little bit and get some people exposed to it. But not only that, I mean, it just goes back to everything to this point that we've talked about, how purpose-driven you are, how much, giving back is such an important part. You've been fed, what you've done, this leap of faith that you've taken, has fed you internally by seeing the positive results for your son. And now it's just exuding out of you about giving back, doing more, because you know what it's done for you, and you can do it for millions of people and lead by example. And I think it's just very powerful. So thank you for sharing with that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, one of the things I want to talk about, let's get to the brass tacks here. A couple of things. I want to ask a couple of questions about where the heck you're located, where we can find this product, right? Other than if you want to come into my studio, I'll arm wrestle with this for the Warrior Mix that I've got. But I first want to talk about the platform that you're on, which is called fair.com, which is interesting because not a lot of brands are doing what you're doing on this platform. It's kind of unique. And could you share a little bit about what the platform is and kind of how it works for you guys?
Of course. Yeah. Fair.com is an amazing online platform where smaller independents and you can be a chain as well too, but it really is geared towards more natural and independent groceries and retailers, whether you're a boutique or a coffee shop, or you have a corner natural food store, or a handful of them. And it's a way that they can have access to brands, and they can order directly from us through that platform and have it delivered right to their back door. So what it does is it really it lessens the barrier to entry. So these retailers don't have to go through a big distributor in order to gain access to our product. So, with some distributors come minimum order quantities and those kind of things, and they're much less with Fair.com. So it makes it just a lot simpler, the process a lot easier, and accessible to get some really unique, amazing brands that are out there.
It's really cool. I mean, I surfed the site and checked it out. I mean, there's some really neat,
It's awesome.
Besides your stuff that's on there, which just makes it more awesomer, but nonetheless, there's some really cool stuff. And to be clear, so people know, it's FAIRE.com.
Correct.
Yeah, it's really
correct.
cool. I check it out. I mean, this is a great way to get, the Warrior mix, right into your hand real quick. But where else can people find the product? Because like I said, you're just not in the mom and pops anymore. You're going big time. So where else? Name drop, girl. Name drop.
Yeah. Okay. So we've got Kroger, Target, Whole Foods, Meijer, Hy-Vee, Market District, Fred Meyer, Ralph's, King Supers, QFC, Dillon's. The list goes on. You can go to our website and find out more locations as well too, as well as we do offer our own website. You can come right to our website, BeeFreeGF.com, and have it delivered right to your door. Also Amazon, and so we're getting around.
Hard. Hey, look, folks, it's there for you. Go get it.
It is. And, I always like to tell people too, if you have a favorite place to shop that we aren't in, please send the info to me and I'll do what I can to have it available for you.
Yeah. The mom's going to kick in another door. That's all I just heard you say right there. I was just coming hard ninja right there. That's what that was. I love it. So what's next for you guys? What's going on? Rest of 2022's here.
Yes.
I mean, God, you're already uplifting people. You're lifting a community with 80% unemployment. You're giving jobs. You're increasing that conversation. You got amazing flavors, new product coming out. You're a mom on a mission. I don't know what else. What else could be next? You got to take some time off. We got something new coming.
Oh, no, there's no time. No time off. We've got new flavors. We've got a bar. We've got what else? We've got a hot cocoa mix. We're going to be doing some a capital raise for our BeeFree bakes. So lots of opportunities for folks to come around and support us and make more of the magic happen.
I absolutely love it. You know what, folks, I'm telling you, get behind this brand. It's worthwhile. Inspire yourself. I say it all the time. It's about inspiring, right? And this is such an inspirational conversation, an inspirational brand. And it's made with love, right? And I think that's what's really important. This started with love, and love goes through every part of your day. The give back, the way you touch people from a multiplicity of ways, not just the autism community, but they're talking about impacting people's lives through good quality food. I always think back to my tenure and realizing that the lives that I changed, that I had no idea, just by providing the food, getting it out there in the system. And it's tough to look away from not feeling good about that job that you've taken on. It's really cool.
Oh, you know what? I just feel like you've just made me feel on top of the world, Todd. I'm just like, I can go do anything now because you've built me up.
Well, look, it's worth doing, right? I mean, look, we live in a world where there's enough crap out there that we have to that we hear it over and over and over again. It just become overwhelming. And these conversations are good. People that kicking, a mom kicking indoors, right, on a mission, need to be uplifted. They need to be talked about. And, you are a source of inspiration. So, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for enlightening me on the things I didn't know about and opening up, my eyes to realizing that, voting with your food and voting with your dollars about food is a very important thing. And so I think it's just fabulous. And I thank you very much for being here and hanging out with me today.
Well, it's been a pleasure. I just have really enjoyed it so much. And, anybody who wants to tell my story, especially, in the light that you've shined on it, Todd, is really sweet and really special. So I definitely appreciate it. But, definitely, we appreciate all the people who help support us, buy our products, share it with their friends, send retailers our way, all those kind of things. We just really appreciate it because, like you said, we've got big business to do. We've got a lot of work to do, and we're not slowing down. In fact, we're really just getting started. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. So, and if you want to, you believe in what we're doing and the mission that we're on, I just would, invite you to just continue to come alongside of us and follow us and help, help continue the journey so that we can touch a lot more people.
Absolutely love it. What a great place to wrap up our time together. Thank you, Jennifer, so much
Thank
for
you.
being here today. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being that source of inspiration. Folks, I talk about this all the time on this broadcast. Go inspire someone. It's not hard to do, right? Just a simple hello is a source of inspiration. If you can't get fired up after the time we just spent with this lovely lady, this mom, this warrior that is out here making shit happen for this planet, I don't know what to do for you. I come over, pump some CPR. I don't even know what you need, but we got to lean into brands like this. We've got to lean into these journeys and these stories, right? It's how we're going to make a difference. 80% unemployment rate for the autistic community in this country is a bunch of BS, and we need to work to change that. And you can do it by voting with your dollars, by shopping smart, and by having really good food in your house, because this food is killer. I'm just telling you, the food is really good. So go buy it, go enjoy it. Thanks for watching Todd Bits. Go check us out on social media. That's where the cool kids are. That's where we hang out. Check us out on all of our stations and channels all around the globe. We appreciate you being here. Jennifer, bottom of my heart to you and your family, much love. Keep it going. There's not a door, I believe, that you cannot kick in. So just keep rocking, girl. And if you can't, let me know. I'll come help you kick it as well.
Take you up on that. Thanks so much.
Thanks
Okay.
everybody for being here. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.